Hello everybody and welcome to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's video, I will be talking about today's severe weather risk and looking ahead at a multi-day severe weather outbreak potential as we head into next week. Now looking at today's day one outlook here from the Storm Prediction Center, a slight risk zone of severe weather across the eastern Carolinas, getting up into eastern portions here of Virginia, also down into north central Florida here as well, including the Orlando, Florida area, over towards Tampa Bay, and then up into the Outer Banks here of North Carolina and portions of Virginia. A 5% tornado zone here across those areas here into eastern Virginia, northeastern North Carolina with a 2% risk surrounding that down into South Carolina. Also a small 5% risk of tornadoes here right near the Orlando area and up toward Jacksonville Beach or just south of there here into Florida with a 2% risk here around north central Florida. And then the 15% wind and hail risk go along with the slight risk zones and marginal risk zones here as well. Looking at the composite reflectivity here, you can see a very massive storm system with an upper level low sitting up here in the northern Great Lakes region, getting into southwestern portions of the Canadian provinces here. And you can see there is a huge comma Q or comma shape here with this upper level feature, with on the backside some snow showers, wrap around cold rains. Also here on the front end of this here, you can see a front coming through with some rainfall here into the northeast, maybe some embedded rumbles of thunder. Further south where there's more instability, you will be getting your severe weather. So a couple of thunderstorms developing here into portions of western and central Virginia, getting down into western portions of North Carolina here as we speak and into late afternoon. And then you could see a couple of showers and storms here percolating late afternoon around north central Florida. As you go through time, you can see some of these thunderstorms will be developing, producing here some isolated severe and scattered severe weather, especially across the Virginia area down into North Carolina, maybe a couple storms tailing their way down toward Myrtle Beach, and then here's some Orlando area, around the Orlando area, getting back towards Tampa Bay, maybe down toward Fort Myers, Naples, getting up toward Jacksonville Beach, some severe weather potential here embedded as well. And then this upper level low continue to meander off to the east here, putting an end to the severe weather here as we head into the evening across here portions of the south and east. Now looking at this here, mid 60 dew points to upper 60s to near even 70 degree dew points here down into the South Carolina, mid 60 dew points here being advected north here into portions of eastern North Carolina, maybe even inching its way into southeastern Virginia, lower 70 to mid 70 dew points, very juicy atmosphere across north central Florida, so these storms will be efficient rainfall producers here as well. Now looking at the instability or convective available potential energy here output, you can see around 500 to 1,500 to locally 2,000 joules per kilogram here can be expected across the eastern Carolinas and southeastern portions of Virginia. The instability wanes here with northern extent, so as you get into southeastern Virginia, maybe just up to around maybe 1,000 here joules per kilogram. The farther south you go into South Carolina and Florida, the instability will grow here to kind of low to moderate levels here towards the 2,000 joule per kilogram range. Now, when you couple that with here this bulk shear, you can see rounding this big, massive trough in the center of the country. You can see here a lot of wind shear across here the Carolinas getting into the southeast, and this is going to aid in the threat for scattered severe weather as we head into today. A little less wind shear down in Florida, but the higher instability here, so kind of a higher instability, lower Cape atmosphere here into Florida, where there's kind of a lower instability, higher wind shear event here up into portions of the Carolinas and Virginia. Now looking at the significant tornado parameter today, not impressive here. I mean, the values are there, yes, here across eastern Carolinas, getting down into North Florida. A decent value down here in North Florida, maybe capturing a supercell here this afternoon. But really here, the threat of significant tornadoes I don't think is here today as much as it is yesterday. But it is a threat here, so we'll have to watch that. Any value on here does indicate a chance, however, of a significant tornado. But I think the tornado threat will be more minimized today compared to the last few days here across the southeast. Now, like I said here, the big upper level low continued to meander off to the east here with this, and this will kind of kick out as we head into our weekend. And then we got another trough to deal with across the west, and this is the next big storm system I'm keeping my eye on. This is going to be here kind of diving down into the southwestern portions of the United States as we head into early next week. And you can see that really take shape as we head towards Tuesday evening across the desert southwest toward the Four Corners region. A lot of energy here rounding the base of that trough, and that is going to send multiple here short waves across the southern and central plains, and that will set up the threat for severe weather here as we head into the early to mid portion of next week. Now, middle to late next week, this trough will deepen even further, kind of negatively tilt as it does, and it will kind of eject into the mid and upper Mississippi Valley regions here, and this could send a strong cold front through those areas, which could here also lead to some more widespread severe weather, especially I'm thinking on Wednesday as this trough ejects into the mid and upper Mississippi Valley and upper Midwest regions here in that time frame. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Now, looking at the Storm Prediction Center's outlook here on their day 5, this is for Monday. You can see a 15% or slight risk zone of severe weather from southeast Kansas through east central portions of Oklahoma, far western Arkansas, far southwestern portions of Missouri, and north central and northeast Texas. This does include Dallas, Fort Worth, getting up towards Oklahoma City, Tulsa, getting down toward Wichita Falls, Waco, Texas, Texarkana, west of Little Rock. So you got to keep in mind on that. All modes of severe weather are in play as we head into Monday, including a few tornadoes, so we'll have to watch that. Then here the same areas kind of just maybe slightly to the east more here as we head into Tuesday. This is the day 6 outlook. Another 15% or slight risk of severe weather here from southwestern Missouri, southeastern portions here of Kansas, much of east central Oklahoma, western and central portions of Arkansas, northwest Louisiana, and much of north central and northeast Texas as well. This does include, once again, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, getting down toward Waco, Shreveport's in play here, Little Rock, Conway, Fort Smith, Joplin, Missouri, getting down towards Tulsa, and portions here of Oklahoma City, maybe just to the east of you. And then Texarkana here once again. All modes again are in play as we head into our Tuesday, with a few tornadoes looking possible, if not likely, here as we head into our Tuesday. Now, as that trough starts to eject further up into the north here in the middle and potentially upper Mississippi Valley region, the Storm Prediction Center's confidently got a 15%, a large 15% or slight risk zone from far southern Iowa across most of Missouri, Arkansas, and northeast Texas, getting into north central Louisiana, east central portions here of Oklahoma, and eastern Kansas. This does include here Kirksville, Missouri, maybe getting up towards here Ottumwa, Iowa, getting down towards Joplin, Springfield, Missouri, just west of St. Louis. This does include Jonesboro, Arkansas, Little Rock, Conway, Fort Smith, getting down to Shreveport once again, Texarkana near the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Tulsa. A lot of areas at play here, Kansas City. So I do expect these risks here to kind of expand and also here kind of maybe be upgraded here in later outlooks. We'll have to see how that is. A little bit here, the Storm Prediction Center does outline the threat here that the northern extent of this could be expanded here in later outlooks. We'll have to see how that works here. It depends on how far north that warm sector gets here, whether it gets to southern or central Wisconsin or stays kind of farther into central or northern Illinois and central Iowa. Here is the unknown at this point. That will be refined here in later outlooks, as they stated. But looking at the bulk shear output, this is kind of going to show you how the shear was going to work with this storm system potentially here. It is a little farther out, but this is going to show you here kind of a good idea of how this trough is going to work. You can see a big old trough, and it will be ejecting into the middle of the country as we head toward the middle and late week. And it will take a negative tilt as it does so. Usually with negative tilt troughs, you get some very robust warming across the warm sector and very robust cooling across the cool sector of the storm. And in between, there's a battle zone, and usually that's where you see your most significant severe weather. And that's where here the Storm Prediction Center has confidently highlighted at least a 15% or slight risk zone for severe weather here on those days. So we'll have to see that. Then there's going to be a cold side to the storm as well. We'll get to that here in just a moment. moment. And then that trough will continue to here push off to the east, kind of broaden as it does so, but still some cold air across the Intermountain West and the Central Plains here as we head toward late next week and into next weekend. Now, looking at these anomalies, like I'm saying here, a very large ridge, it's going to extend all the way up toward the Canadian border here at times, especially mid to late week, and this is going to set the stage for a massive warm sector with a storm, huge, massive trough here being pulled in, and then right in the middle here is where I'm expecting the most severe weather here as we head into the middle of the country, especially across Wednesday. The most significant day, I think, will be Wednesday next week. Now, looking at this here, this is Monday afternoon, and you can see, like I said, showing you kind of the surface temperature gradients here. You can see 80s across Texas, some 60s being pulled north here into the central and southern plains. And then as we head into Tuesday, even more robust warming is expected to be underway, with temperatures rising into the lower middle 80s, even as far north here as west central Kansas, some 70s being pulled north here into portions of Nebraska, 70s even into portions of central and northern portions of Missouri, 60s up toward Chicago, so some pretty warm air, and this will continue to surge northward as we head toward Wednesday, maybe even getting down toward Austin, Texas, over towards portions here of Houston, getting up toward the 80 to 90 degree mark as we head into Wednesday, and a lot of warm, moist air across this area here as we head into middle of next week. Look at the here precipitable water anomalies. You can see it's the western Gulf of Mexico is going to be open for business with this storm system. So a lot of warm, moist air being advected and here pulled northward into the storm system, so a lot of moisture to work with. Dew points will be rising well into the 60s across the warm sector, and that will set up a lot of instability, mixed layer, surface-based instability here that will be provided with that severe weather threat as well. Like I'm saying here, the dew points across here the area, this is Monday afternoon, mid-60 dew points, maybe some embedded upper 60 dew points being advected north here into southeastern Oklahoma, east central Texas, Arkansas, some low to mid-60 dew points across Mississippi, portions of Louisiana, and that will only get even here more broader as it heads towards the middle of next week here as we head into Tuesday. You can see mid-60 dew points potentially up into northern Missouri, southern Illinois getting some lower 60 dew points, mid to even upper 60 dew points, pushing 70 degrees here with the dew point potentially toward Dallas-Fort Worth, getting over toward Texarkana, down toward Houston, so a massive warm sector, and this will continue to push northward here, surge north with the storm system strengthening and deepening very quickly across the center of the country. Look at the dry line or cold front with this storm system. You're going to go from low to mid 60 dew points, and even down here into Texas, low to mid 70 dew points here to just probably a few hours drive west, and dew points will be dropping into the 20s and 30s or lower. So very potent storm system indeed, and that will foster the severe weather threat. Now we have to look at the cold side of the storm as well. A lot of snowfall in the Intermountain West, some upper elevation snow around the Denver area, getting up here into Montana, portions here of Wyoming, and then this will continue to deepen with a deformation snow axis here being kind of pushing up into portions of the western Dakotas as we head toward the Wednesday time frame, and then that will continue to deepen here and meander itself into North Dakota, especially some very heavy snow, a lot of wind with the system as well. I would not be surprised if there was any blizzard-like conditions or whiteout conditions with this here type of setup, and this here will kind of here with some lingering snow showers across the backside there as we head into our Thursday, and then finally the storm system kicks itself out here as we head toward Friday and Saturday toward the end of the week. Now looking here at the next 7 days or so, worth here in the next week or so of precipitation, middle of the country here, the bullseye, especially across the southern and central plain, getting into the Tennessee Valley, you can see here an additional 1 to perhaps 3 inches of rainfall centered on Arkansas, western, middle Tennessee, getting back here into northwestern portions of Mississippi, north central Louisiana, might have some flooding concerns in that location, but just a general 1 to 2 inches of rain expected across much of the Mississippi Valley, from the upper Mississippi Valley to the mid and lower Mississippi and Missouri valleys here as well. And then here's some precipitation across the cold side here as well. with that snowfall. Now, looking at that snowfall output, some very robust numbers, at least here on the GFS here, this morning's GFS run showing some robust values approaching or even exceeding a foot of snow across much of the Dakotas, especially especially North Dakota into northwestern portions here of Minnesota, getting into northern portions of South Dakota, back into the Rockies here. And a closer view of this here, you can see these values will be refined in the coming days. These values will be refined, but this here is showing a foot to potentially a foot and a half with locally up to 20 inches of snow. Now, this will, like I said, be refined in coming here days, but this is still looking here, giving you the general flavor of a very significant late season snowfall across this area here. From Fargo getting down up towards here, the Duluth area over here with maybe a few inches, and then you can get back here just north of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and here a lot of areas being affected here across, especially North Dakota, northern South Dakota, and the northwest here portions of Minnesota. Now, looking at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, much below normal temperatures are expected here across the western 2/3 of the country, with that massive trough here ejecting in the middle of the country. So toward the middle of the month, a big cool down across most of the central and western part of the United States, where that ridge persists, likely above average here temperatures across the eastern 2/3 of the country, especially up into the northeast, getting down into Florida. And then as we head in toward the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, towards the 20th of the month, this goes through Wednesday, April 20th, likely below normal temperatures across probably about 80% of the country, especially in the center of the country, from the Great Lakes down through the Mississippi and Missouri Valley, down into the central southern plains, the Tennessee and Ohio Valley. Another ridge trying to develop across the southwestern United States around California, getting into the western Four Corners region, with another ridge kind of starting to lose its punch across the eastern seaboard here as we head toward the end of the month. So I hope that gave you some insight here on the severe weather today, and also looking ahead at the next big severe weather outbreak potentially next week, and giving you kind of a longer range temperature outlook here towards the end of the month as well. So do be sure to like my video, comment any questions below, and do remember to subscribe to my channel for upcoming related weather content, and I appreciate that. And everybody have a great Thursday out there.